This is 30-Minute Moments, the place for you to break out of the norm and celebrate your life, because what we believe in our hearts becomes our reality. This is 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman.
Welcome to 30-Minute Moments, and I'm your host, Alena Chapman. Today is doubt and fear, two of the biggest obstacles as we face every time we want to better ourselves or take opportunities. And for the entrepreneur, oh my gosh, this doubt and fear can actually mean the difference between success and failure, losing money and gaining money. My guest today is Amy Applebaum. Now, this woman is the person to go to if you want business success. With her boot camp for the mind, she gives entrepreneurs the advice, action, and motivation to really get results and to beat that fear and doubt. And Amy, hello. This doubt and fear thing, I'll tell you, it keeps people back. But first of all, I want people to know how busy you are. You know that you're not just all focused on just, you wake up in the morning and all you have to think about is your business. No, Miss Amy, you are a busy lady with a sweet little girl. How old is she?
She just turned 5.
Oh my gosh, I remember those days. And she's a wife and a mother, but she's also an entrepreneur of her own business. And she's very focused, guys. She's very driven, and she's completely grounded. This is a very difficult combination to achieve on a daily basis. So the first question I have for you, Amy, is what's your secret?
My first honest answer will be, I want to laugh and say I'm not always successful at this.
No?
I'm not sure that there's a secret per se. I think that there are a few things that we have to know in order to somehow stay focus driven and grounded, because that combination, as you talk about it, it makes me laugh because it is a constant battle.
Yes.
And if you're someone who's naturally zen and grounded, and sometimes that's not synonymous with being focused and driven. Whereas if you're focused and driven, that doesn't always equate to being zen and grounded, because some of the qualities that you need in order to inhabit those qualities and adopt those qualities and live those qualities go against each other. So for me, what I'd like to share is, number one, you have to be committed to being focus-driven and grounded. It has to be a commitment that you actually make, like I want that.
Right.
Because being focused and driven can say type A and you're moving and action, and I can do that in my sleep, right?
Right.
But trying to be grounded about it is a whole nother conversation. So the first thing is you've got to make a commitment that that's what you want, that you want to be able to show up grounded. And then you have to be mindful, which would be the second point, of your behavior and these commitments. Because if you're not mindful of how you're not being grounded, or how you're doing things that lead you to maybe a chaotic space,
Right.
then it really makes no difference. Getting grounded is going to be nearly impossible because you're not mindful of the things that you do that actually create chaos in your life.
Right.
So first you've got to make a commitment to wanting to be grounded while also focused and driven, and then you've got to be mindful of your behaviors and those commitments. So what that means for me personally is, well, wait, there's a third part. The third part is once you've noticed that you're not behaving in a grounded way, or the opposite, you're grounded but you're not acting focused and driven, is you have to actually make a choice to adjust. Once you notice,
exactly.
you have to adjust your behavior. And these all seem like rudimentary, like, duh, of course this is what we have to do. But the reality is doing it and thinking about it are two totally different things. So for me, Elena, what I like to do is when I walk into my office, I sit down and I make my commitments for the day. And I don't make 100 commitments, and I don't, spout off 25 mantras, because that will just bludgeon my brain and be difficult to focus on throughout the day.
Right.
So I make my commitment. So if it's about being grounded, focused, and driven, then make that commitment. Today, being focused and driven is easy for me, so I'm really going to work on being grounded, staying patient, remaining calm when things get amped up. So I make the commitment out loud, and then I post it somewhere. So every day I've got this big glass, beautiful whiteboard in my office, so whatever my commitment statement is for that day, I put it down so that I can see it all throughout the day.
That's good.
And then when I notice myself getting maybe hysterical or in a non-grounded state, I stop. And sometimes that means I have to put somebody on hold or tell them that I'll call them back if it's happening in a moment that I need to walk away.
Right.
Those are the ways that I handle it. That's my secret. I'm not always successful at it, but I work at it all the time. And I would say at the end of all of this, the most important thing is you've got to practice.
Right.
Because you can't get good at being anything if you don't practice it, because it's not in your bones.
Well, and Amy, we're evolving people. I mean, we are always learning. We're always growing. And so these mistakes, number one, I don't want people to think, and you don't beat yourself up if, you make that one time you get a little harried. You just say to yourself, okay, next time I'll do better. I've got this. I'm committed to it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, but you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm still committed. And I think having it hung up somewhere, on your mirror or on your desk or wherever, you've got that commitment. I'm one who always says have something, whether that's the values for your family or it's the values for you or your commitment. Have it written down where you can see it, because it reminds you when things start to get really kind of crazy to look and say, hey, wait, this is what I wanted to do. I love that idea. And yeah, juggling a lot of balls in the air, it does take a lot of learning. So we're all with you on that. Let's talk a little bit here about the fear, because fear tap dances around us in our lives all the time. And everything we do, sometimes some people actually get that, what I like to call fight or flight, constantly, just driving down the road. Others get it before they go into a meeting. Others get it when they have to talk to their boss. Others get it when there's an opportunity. But all of a sudden that stomach starts going and the critic in the mind starts acting up, and they're thinking, okay, I can't make this decision. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And it gets very hard. So in your opinion, this fear, do you find it or do you work with it as either a deterrent or a motivator? Or do you use it as both?
It's a really great question. I think first and foremost, we need to realize that everybody is scared. Like, that's the big secret.
Yes,
because if you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, that's typically when we experience fear. And I would, for the purposes of what you just asked, kind of push aside any what I would call rational fears. Fears like a car is coming at you. That's real fear.
Yes.
That's real fear, right?
Yes, that is.
And we have a whole bunch of irrational fears, which I think are the ones that you're really alluding to.
Exactly.
When we're about to do something that we're not maybe comfortable with, or that's stepping outside of our comfort zone. And
exactly.
So I would say it's what you choose, meaning you can use fear as a deterrent or you can use it as a motivator. Everybody is scared. I mean, I have worked with entrepreneurs all over the world, different religions, cultures, ages, and they're all scared. And that's because they are stepping outside of their comfort zone. It doesn't matter. If they are pushing out of their own boundaries, that fear is going to come up because life is scary. Mm-hmm. So I think the first thing that we have to really do is that accept that it's there. And I think so many people out there are trying to get you to either kind of move past it or pretend it's not there or get over it. And I don't believe that you can just get over fear. I believe that fear is part of life. Mm-hmm. And it happens before typically something. I like to choose that fear is something that happens right before something incredible is about to happen.
Exactly.
Whether that means you're going to grow, evolve, learn, step into something that you never have before.
Yes.
So, whether or not I would say use it as a deterrent or a motivator would really depend on the circumstance. I think what we're choosing is to take action, or we can choose to take action despite fear.
Exactly.
So I have some steps that one could take if you want me to share them.
Sure.
So the first thing, now that you kind of know my philosophy behind it, is you've got to acknowledge it. So when you experience fear, really take a moment to just notice it's there. Because sometimes we like to pretend like it's not there or try to shove it down, and all that doesn't make it work.
Doesn't work, yes.
So you've got to first acknowledge it. And then, this may sound silly, but trust me, it works. You want to give it a name. And in fact, I would say to anybody out there who has a business, give fear a name. It's something, because you want to really start to build a relationship with your fear, like it's an entity.
Okay.
Of itself inside of your body.
That's interesting.
Right?
Yes, because I know a psychologist. She actually is very big up in Toronto, and she says, and I learned this phrase from her, name it, you can tame it. So
That's
if you name that fear, guess what? You can tame it. That's very cool.
Well, and what also happens, Elena, is that when you do this, you actually begin the process of separating yourself from it.
Yes.
So in the moment that you give it a name, it's feels separate from you.
Yes.
Right? And if
yes.
you separate from your fear, then you can look at it, you can evaluate it, and then you can make choices and decide what you want to do about it. So that would be number 2, is give it a name.
I like that.
And then you should just always keep it that name. Don't change it every time fear comes up. Just decide that you're going to give fear a name so you can have conversations with it. So the third thing I would say is become friends with it, right? So once you accept that fear is present and it's along for the ride, you're not going to be so freaked out by it. You'll just recognize it as part of you, right? So you're deciding that you love fear in the same way that you love, that annoying family member. They drive you crazy, but you love them nonetheless. And then the fourth step is you want to talk to it. So when fear comes knocking on the door, invite it in, have a conversation, because it's there. And so I don't know if any of you have seen that movie, A Beautiful Mind. Do you remember that movie?
Yes. Yes, I had.
So
wonderful movie.
Remember how Russell Crowe was talking to his other personality?
Yes. Yes, I do.
In doing that, right?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
serious.
I would highly advise not doing this in public. People might
right.
Be nuts, right? So do it in the privacy of your room. But here's where you want to begin to have a conversation with it. What do you want? How are you trying to play a role? Keep dialoguing with it until you're clear on what the fear is and why it's there. So that step number 5, you can make a powerful choice around it. So now that you've had this conversation and you figured out why it's there, does it actually make logical sense not to proceed with whatever it is you're afraid of?
Exactly.
And in this way, you really you begin to in this having your own relationship with fear, you ultimately end up finding that your fear, you take action despite the fear, and then through that practice of taking action, that's where the confidence comes.
We're here with Amy Applebaum, and I'll tell you, she's got some fabulous ways for us to deal with the fear in our everyday life. And we will be right back in a second.
You're listening to 30-Minute Moments with Elena Chapman, helping you discover your true purpose on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Well, you are here listening to 30-Minute Moments, and I'm Alena Chapman, your host, and we are discovering doubt and fear and how to really handle those everyday fear and doubts we have with Amy Applebaum. And we were talking about when you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you really just all of a sudden you get that grip of fear, correct, Amy? When you're taking that opportunity. And I had that happen when I bought my first house. I was newly divorced and I had to buy a house and I had to get a mortgage. I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember I was so happy. I was so happy until I turned into the mortgage, the title company place. And all of a sudden my foot slammed on the brake and I broke out in a sweat and I started to get really, really nervous, and I heard all this fear, all this, you can't do that. You don't know what you're doing. They're going to eat you alive in there. I heard all this noise coming into my head. And I did, just like you said, if you know what you're dealing with, I know what my fear is, I know the name, and I could say, wait a minute, if I don't do this, who's going to? And I actually sat there in my car talking to it. The only thing I really like to add is come up with an immediate plan. Like I came up with a plan, I'm going to drive my car to the building and get out of the car. That was my plan, because when fear hits you, it has to be simple. And I did it. And Amy, the feeling of accomplishment was immense. When you can conquer that fear, it is immense. So
absolutely.
I just thought I'd tell that little story because it seems so in line with what you're talking about. And I also have an old mentor of mine who used to say, if you're going for a challenge or an obstacle and you don't feel those butterflies in your tummy, it's not big enough.
Right, or something's wrong. I mean,
something's wrong.
Right. Or you're so practiced at it that, just like you said, it's not challenging.
It's not challenging.
We've been taught, though, it's interesting. It's interesting because I have this 5-year-old, and so we're having these interesting conversations. I've never been a mom before, so I have no idea what I'm doing from moment to moment.
No one does.
But, right? I know.
You don't.
Constant. Every other day it's something new, but I realize that she's listening to the things that I'm saying, and so we can have I can have conversations with her, and I can say, how come, honey, you think that being afraid is a bad thing? Why does it have to? Who chose? Is it true that being afraid is bad? And questioning ourselves really helps us open up and create some insights that I think are impactful on the choices that we make.
I'll tell you, it is. I have three older boys. I have 18, 15, and 13. And I'll tell you something. When your daughter gets to be that age, you'll start to see everything you've been trying to teach start to blossom.
Oh, I can't wait for that, let me tell you.
It's so
I'm an
cool.
old mom. I'm going to be 48 on March 30th, and this is a wild ride, let me tell you. So
talk about fear.
Gentlemen, whoever's listening, let me just tell you, everything is scary. I'm freaking out being a mom every single day. It's just so part of life. It's really what we do with it, that defines us.
It defines us. And how we deal with our fear, it defines us. I know that you have on your site recorded many hours of these guided meditations, and I know you're in hypotherapy or hypnosis, basically.
Hypnotherapy.
Yes, hypnotherapy. And I know a lot of people who meditate. And I'm always talking about meditation. Meditation to me is how you get to the core. But of course there are those people who wiggle, who can't sit still. And everybody has their way of curing that. But you know how hard it is. You sit down to do your meditation, and your mind is so crowded, you just hear all this busyness going on in your head, and you can never get it quiet. Or you get the fidgets. I used to get the fidgets. What do you say?
Yeah.
How can you help someone who has never meditated before, but we know that this meditation is really going to help them get grounded, get them a little more zen, which I want to talk a little bit more about. But what's the best way you think that works for this fidgety person?
Okay. This is an awesome question, because I definitely would say I'm the guided meditation expert for people who are just regular people who don't have a lot of experience with this.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't create these to be practicing hypnosis in an office. I did this for all of us entrepreneurs out there who want exactly what you just said.
Yep.
So firstly, choose guided over not guided.
Yes.
Because it's hard enough, right, to try to lead yourself through a meditation or to just have that open space. So in the beginning, I recommend guided meditations where somebody's actually talking the whole way through. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is find a voice you can listen to. So thank you so much for talking about mine. We'll go into that story sometime, because that was a big accident. That's a very funny story. However, you need to find a voice that works for you. So if you guys like my voice, when you listen to one of my guided meditations, fantastic. If you don't, find one that you do, because it's really important.
It is very important, yes.
Use sleep tracks. So I have over 100 guided meditations, different titles, and I created a sleep track for every single one of them. And that is going to be the easiest way when you're already tired, you're getting ready for bed.
Yes.
So about 30 minutes, 20 minutes before you would probably go to sleep, that's when you put your earbuds in, and that's when you put your guided meditation in.
Yes.
Because you're already tired, and you'll just fall asleep to it. That will make things a lot easier. And then finally, I would say practice. Don't just do it once. Do it every night, because that practice is like, Elena, do you do yoga?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay. So, I don't know if you can go back to the time when you didn't do yoga, but back when I first was doing my very first 2-week yoga challenge, it was so annoying for me. And I remember when we would lay in Shavasana, right?
Uh-huh. Yes, yes.
And I would just be thinking, oh, can we just get out of here?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like my mind and the crazy, and it was very difficult, and I found myself more judging the teacher instead of really just being engaged.
Yes.
After that 2 weeks, something really extraordinary happened through practicing. I started to let go more. I started to understand it differently. I started to experience it differently. And when we would lay down in Shavasana at the end of the evening, I would welcome it. It was like something that was exciting for me.
Right.
So just remember, everyone, don't try it once.
Right.
Practice on a regular basis.
You have to keep it consistent, like with everything else. You are here listening to 30-Minute Moments, and I'm Alena Chapman. Be right back.
This is 30-Minute Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you find your inner self every Sunday on WOWO and at WOWO.com.
Welcome back. This is 30-Minute Moments. I'm Alena Chapman, and we are talking about fear and doubt and how do we face that in our daily life. And we're talking to Amy Applebaum. The one thing I wanted to bring up when we were just talking about yoga, all the yoga and the meditation, I think I'm a type A personality, or I used to be really type A. And I found that with doing these things with yoga and meditation. Why do you want to do that? Because it helps you in your decision making. Every time I go to make a really good decision, a real one that's like big for an opportunity, you can quiet yourself. I don't know, Amy, do you find you do that now too? You can close your eyes, get centered, and just, it's easier, it's faster. And when you make the decision, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Do you find that also?
I do find it's easier. I think the challenge on my end is being mindful of it. You're so full force going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's that recognition that you're maybe not in the most, beneficial state. So I elicit the help of those around me and my team,
yes,
so that they can, give me a little
guidance,
a little sign.
Yeah.
Hey, take it down.
Yeah, that's okay.
So it's being consciously aware. And if you're really committed to being aware of wanting to be grounded, then you don't feel anxious about letting your team know around you that that's your commitment, so that they can also help you follow through with that.
Yes. They're your mastermind, really. They're your mastermind.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, we have come to my most favorite part of the show, the shift. Welcome, everyone, to the shift. And that is the aha moment for you, that you found that this is what you need to teach, or this is how you have to help people through, or learning how to deal with this fear or whatever, and doubt that they may face in their entrepreneurism. What is your story? Do you have one that really gave you that aha moment?
I think I do. I have so many aha moments. It's crazy. But I think the one that I will share is when I became an entrepreneur. I was waiting tables at this Italian restaurant in Beverly Hills, trying to figure out what I was going to do. I hated working there for a variety of reasons, but I was making a lot of money, which may sound silly, but go wait tables in Beverly Hills, you can make a lot of money, right? So you get really stuck in it. And anyway, this one morning, one of my guests said that she wanted some oatmeal, and she wanted it now. It was very important that she got it now. And I explained to her, because she said that we make it to order and it'll take 20 minutes. And she said that she was in a rush, and fine, anyway, do it. So she insisted on it. 10 minutes after she orders, she starts doing the snapping her finger thing across the restaurant, right? Excuse me, where's my oatmeal thing? And I don't know about you, but I either at that time had way too much of an ego to be dealing with someone snapping their fingers at me.
Yes.
But anyway, I walked over and I said that the oatmeal, it wasn't done. She said, bring it to me. I want it now. So I walked over to the cook station and I said, she wants her oatmeal on table, whatever it was, and he said it's raw, and I said that's how she wants it, and I got fired that day.
Oh.
So let me say, I can remember, if you know the Los Angeles area, I was driving over Coldwater Canyon down towards Ventura Boulevard, and I was so angry, and all I could think of was, I am such a loser. Like, I have nothing, I don't have money, I don't have plans, I don't have a future. And then when I got home, that panic really set in. What happened? I just couldn't figure out. I had a college degree. How had I gotten here? I didn't know what to do. I was too embarrassed to ask anybody for help or even reveal that I'd been fired.
Yeah.
So this kind of went on for like a week of me feeling sorry for myself. And I would say, at some point during that week, I was listening to a song on the radio. I don't know if you remember that song, Freedom by George Michael.
Yes.
I just completely aged myself.
That's all right.
Right? Freedom. Okay, but I couldn't get that chorus out of my head. And so all of a sudden, it hit me like a bed falling on my head. It was like, wait a minute. I am free.
Yes.
I hated the restaurant. I'd been unhappy there. I always felt like I was settling. I was wasting time, just obsessing about being fired and feeling sorry for myself when this opportunity was actually an opportunity. And I had been putting off this life that I wanted to have. And if we're really honest about it, I kind of got myself fired. I believe that I'm at cause for everything that I do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I kind of knew when I brought Crazy Lady her oatmeal that it wasn't going to go down well for me.
Right.
So,
right. It was.
Right? So
right, exactly. Yeah.
Free. So what happened, the epiphany moment, was I went from feeling sorry for myself to being excited. And I remember I put on my mixtape, which also just completely aged me. And I got out a piece of paper and I started brainstorming. And I'd always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And here I could do it. And I kind of couldn't contain myself. I had all of these ideas. I really couldn't write fast enough.
Yeah.
And a year later, after some major trials and tribulations, I had a company. And I was up. I was making money. I learned about branding and marketing and sales and accounting and customer service. And I didn't know what I was doing,
all that stuff,
but I was doing it.
Yeah. This is a fantastic story. You know what? And that's exactly what it is. So many people, they're making the money, but they're not happy. And when something happens, they go into a trauma. And really, it's an opportunity. If we start seeing things like an opportunity, look what you can do. You know what I mean? There's a life afterwards. Yeah. There's life.
Yeah.
Amy, this has been...
That business taught me everything I needed to know to launch my coaching career. So...
That's interesting.
Thank goodness I was fired.
Yeah, thank goodness you were fired. Yeah.
I should say is thank goodness I got myself fired.
All right. Now, how do people learn more about you if they are like raring to go, they've just been fired, or they want to do better, or they're facing that big opportunity, they don't know how to do it, or they just want to better their business? How do they find out more about Amy Applebaum?
Oh, you are very sweet for asking. They can go to amyapplebaum.com. And everything's there. Honestly, I've got, free things and all my meditations are on that site. Everything's there.
Okay. I think that's fabulous. And it is a fun site, guys. It really is. She's up there and she's punching the sky and jumping around. And you have a lot of energy. I love it. So,
thank you.
It was awesome. Any last words of wisdom that you can give anybody who might be, you never know, somebody might be wanting to go for that opportunity and just has a little bit of fear? Do you have any last words you'd like to leave?
Yeah, and I think be afraid and do it anyway. Just do it.
I love it. Be afraid and do it anyway. And that's really what it comes down to. It really does. Oh, thank you so much, Amy. And I hope to have you on again. And this was just a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate everything that you're doing in the world and all the people that you're helping, and I'm grateful that you're sharing me with your audience. And anything that I can do to support you and your audience, just let me know.
Thank you. Everyone, this is 30-Minute Moments. We have just been speaking with Amy Applebaum on a terrific interview about fear and doubt. I'm Alena Chapman, your host. If you'd like to learn more about Alena Chapman, your host, go to alenachapmanlife.com. And there you can find out more about me with a bio and all the things that I offer. And we'll see you next week. Next week we're going to be, we've got a fantastic guest who is going to talk to you about entrepreneurism again, but also people. Walt Disney, Napoleon Hill. This guy grew up with them. He grew up with those ideals. He grew up with that imagination. So don't miss next week. This is Alena Chapman, and this is 30-Minute Moments.
This has been 30-Minute Moments featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now at wowo.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.